But if you gonna upcharge me for the King James version of a book, I'm gonna be really mad.
The King James version?
I'm gonna be really upset. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the season finale of the Lone Limit podcast. That feels weird to say that.
Mid-season finale.
That feels wrong. I'm going to just say welcome back for another episode of the Lone Limit podcast. That doesn't give me hives. Welcome so much for being here, guys. I am your host, Chelsie. I know for sure now this is your host, Jay.
Hey.
And we're going to go over all things bookish. If this is your first time watching, you might want to go watch some other episodes because this is going to be slightly out of the norm for us today. So go watch some other episodes once this one is done, okay?
Oh, okay. I love how we're just telling people what to do. All right, go ahead.
Listen, I'm an Aries and I'm bossy. I'm going to tell you what I want you to do, all right? It is what it is. I'm a fire sign. I can't help it. Jay, when we are in our meetings and I get a harebrained idea, lately it's giving Keenan and Kel, and I am Keenan coming up with the crazy idea, and you are Kel following behind me going, "Can't we just stay home?" And one of these times, I really need you to just shout that I should shut up.
I will take great pleasure in telling you no, but I feel like you come up with a good idea, so why would I say no to that?
Because sometimes the idea is great in the moment, okay, but when it comes time to execute
it?
That's
like every meeting ever. Great idea. Like, oh, now we got to do it. Okay. All right. Let's think this through.
Yeah. So, guys, we're going to do something a little bit different this week, okay? Mm-hmm. We chose to read a comic book for this week's episode.
We did.
So, I said, Jay, instead of a book rec, because I can't recommend any comic books and you can't recommend any comic books, let's try a game of sorts, all right? Let's go band for band.
Okay.
So, my Avengers versus your Avengers.
Okay.
Now, we said we were going to pick two, but I feel like by the look on your face, you might have been an overachiever in all of this.
I was not an overachiever this time, girl. What you doing?
I just wanted to double check.
Backup if you picked one of mine. That's the only thing I got.
Okay. So, it's real simple, y'all. Y'all can play along. But you got to pick two Avengers, all right? Who's winning against who? Mm-hmm. Now, Jay, we are going to go back and forth on this, okay? We're not going to just throw our two out there.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you very nicely. My first Avenger is Thor.
That's good. That's really good. That
it's really because I want Mjolnir. I just want the hammer.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's dope. Okay, mine is Captain America, Steve Rogers.
I mean, I want to be shocked, but knowing your love of Chris Evans, if you're listening to this, I'm doing the Chris Evans meme right now. But that makes sense. That makes sense.
Also, just the integrity and all, I rock with it.
Mm-hmm. Now, my second choice is a hard one. Mm-hmm. Because I want to go with more muscle. I want to go big, right? Okay. But I'm listen, before I say something nonsense, I'm going to just say it. I'm going Black Widow.
Okay. Funny enough, I don't think we went in the same direction for the same reasons, but I went with a woman as well. I was like, I need to have a woman on my team.
Who's your woman?
I went with Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers.
That's a good one if I'm thinking of the correct superhero.
Yeah, and it's kind of a cheat because she was the reason behind the Avengers. And I figured if you didn't accept it, I had a backup. But I think she counts.
I don't think she's... I mean, probably in the comic books, she's a part of the Avengers. But in terms of the movies, she's not. So that... Yeah, but I'm not well versed in the comics to say yes or no to this. So like,
Okay.
hey, this is the one time you could get something past me.
There we go. Let's go. Oh, yeah. Because I kind of figured, magical infusion, kind of similar to like the Steve Rogers with science infusion. So it's like, they have all of the thoughts, processes of a human, but then the enhancements to kind of be able to fight what they got to fight. Like Homegirl can fly. So
now the question becomes, my two versus you two, who will win?
In a world where I feel like I want to put Thor versus Cap, I actually think I'll put Captain Marvel against Thor, because again, like the intergalactic kind of fighting stuff.
I think my team's winning.
In what world?
In my world, what do you mean?
Okay,
It's my world.
okay. Listen, I love Black Widow. I love Black Widow. If I was not thinking of enhanced humans, absolutely would have went with Black Widow. But
I'm telling you right now, hands down, Black Widow is taking out your Steve Rogers while Thor is fighting Captain Marvel. I'm telling you right now. And I know that Steve is cute, and I know you love Steve. But Steve and his successor, Anthony Mackie out there, they both would tell you Black Widow's taking them down. Okay.
because here's the thing, I so believe in Black Widow, so I'm like, it's so hard for me to make a defense against her, but I'd be like, nah, I want to co-sign her. So, okay, here's the thing. I feel like this is one of the things I love about Cap. There's no end to his fight. Like, he's always going to get up. So I do think that Black Widow could absolutely
He didn't always get up. Homie said I tap out. He gave up the shield to Anthony Mackie. He gone. He did.
It wasn't in the middle of a fight, though. It wasn't in the middle of a fight. And also there's some theories to this, but anyway. So I just feel like Black Widow's absolutely going to get some good licks in on him. Like, absolutely. But I just feel like he's always going to be ready to get back up. And then, of course, with the enhancements, like, I don't think Black Widow wins that fight in the end. Like, I think psychologically you should probably talk him out of fighting.
She's able to control the Hulk. And you're telling me...
Yeah, but we all know why, though.
Okay.
She can't use them same tactics against Cat.
Yes, she could if she wanted to.
I mean, she could, but it ain't really gonna work.
Whatever. All right, let's get into
I also
some
find it
bookish
hilarious
stuff.
of like who we matched up with who. Like, yeah, I love how we just left Thor and Captain Marvel like in the sky. Like, yeah, they fighting up there. Nah, it's about Captain.
Listen, you lucky I didn't pick Floki.
Yeah. Now there's a lot of options to that. I think that's a solid team, though. Yeah, it's a solid team.
Mm-hmm. Now, some real bookish stuff for those who did not come for just comic book conversation. I got a question for you. Do you feel like sprayed edges have lost some of their like specialness? And that is a word because my phone auto-corrected to it, so I know that's a word.
Good question. I don't think so. Here's why. I'm now learning that sprayed edges is more of a norm, I believe, in European like releases. And so I feel like we're getting them more here in the States. I wish they did more than just color them. Like in the States, I feel like a lot of the sprayed edges is just like the color of whatever the theme, like the color from the book. Whereas like, and I've seen the European ones where there's actually like designs on the sprayed edges. And I think that's cooler. I don't think it's lost its specialness, but I do wish they would be a little bit more creative, especially because we've seen examples of it being more creative. So I don't think that it's lost its specialness, but I do think, I don't know if it's publishers are getting a little bit lazy with it and kind of just being like, oh, it's something different here.
Well, I feel like, because I do have books that are with the designs on them, as you can see right here. Mm-hmm. And it's like, those ones are like, ooh, cool. There's a design. Like I have one, where is it? You guys can't see the shelf. I have this book, right? Look at that beautiful sprayed edge.
Yes.
That's gorgeous. That is stunning.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also will see books where it's just like a metallic coloring. And I'm like, that to me is not a sprayed edge.
Yeah.
That just to me is colored paper.
Also,
and I just feel like, don't charge me the same price.
This is so like church girl background. When I see the metallic edge, I'm like, they used to do that for the Bibles. Like, can we do something more?
That's what I'm saying. And I think that might be why. I think
like,
that might be why I'm so
enough.
anti.
Yeah, this is not enough. I need you to do more.
Like, I think maybe that's why I'm just like, this is what you're calling a sprayed edge, because
I
Jesus
think that's
has been
what
doing this since
because that was my
forever and a
reaction
day.
too. I was just like, Bible's been doing this from jump. Step your game up.
Right.
Yeah. No, I like them, and in fact, I'm like really ready to get like a whole series special edition, and it basically the special edition is that the edges are sprayed the color of the book, and I was just like,
here's my problem with sprayed edges. How am I supposed to display them?
flip them around.
Then I just don't know what book is on my shelf.
Yes, you do. You read it, and you know that sprayed edge correlates to that book.
Why do you believe this? I don't even remember character names. Do you think I'm going to remember a book by its sprayed edges?
Okay, it's actually one of the main reasons why I want to get sprayed edges is because I saw this thing on Bookstagram. I don't remember the creator. I'm so sorry. Else I would have named it. And it was basically saying to help you read your TBR, flip the books that you've already read over. And I love that concept. But when you don't have sprayed edges, it was just so ugly. And I was like, ew, no, I can't do this. So I definitely have been like leaning into sprayed edges so that I can flip them around when I'm finished reading with them, and then they're also still beautiful on the shelf. And I just was just like, this I could get behind. But then again, like you said, like I like a design on my sprayed edges versus just the color. But at the same time, it's like, as a consumer, you can only consume what's been put out. And so it's just like, I really want to lean, I don't know if this is publishers, marketers, whatever. Can y'all please be more creative with this thing? If you're going to do it, go all out.
Yeah. Like,
it's been proven, like, we'll pay the money for it. Just go all out.
This book. Hold, please. What? My Leaning Tower of Pisa?
Yes.
Don't worry about it. This ain't my first rodeo. Like, this one's cute because it has the plaid there, right? And it's all about a mountain man. And then it has, like, a cute little animal on the bottom, which is one of the, like... Yeah, it's one of the background characters. It's cute when it makes sense. But I'm just saying, like, this one sold me, all right? You have it on all of them. Yes. I mean, I wanted the book anyways. But, like, that's cute to me. I can accept that if you want to upcharge me a little bit for that. But if you go upcharge me for the King James version of a book, I'm going to be really mad. I'm going to be really upset.
I'm gonna really just start calling only one color sprayed edges the King James version.
Nah, like, I just had to be like, have we just decided that coloring the edges calls it a sprayed edge and we're just gonna upcharge for that? Like, I'm not knocking the fact that it does cost money to pay someone to do this for the books. I'm not knocking that. But if you're paying them to do it, you might as well pay them to do something fancy.
I agree. And also, I mean, being in the arts, I'm also one to be like, let people create. If you're going to do something creative, let it be creative. So like, I would love for a designer to get paid to be commissioned to do that thing, to partner with it. Like, let it go all out. Like, let it go. Let it go.
That part.
Yeah.
While I'm on my soapbox and I'm preaching about things that just are different in this world, I needed your opinion on something.
Okay.
All right. So if you're new here, I talk a lot about the clock app and how I don't do the clock app. But I said, let me give it a shot. Let me just see what they're doing over there. So I went on and I was trying to build my For You page, which must be the hardest part of all of the clock app, is trying to get the content that you want to see. And I came across this video, and it was about this content creator who was upset at this white author. Okay. So this author named Marina Kitt, she's known very well in spaces for doing dark romance and things like that. Okay. A black woman went up to her and asked, hey, do you ever foresee yourself writing a main character that's black?
Okay.
Rena said, listen, that's not my lane, and I'm not planning on merging over. She said, I couldn't do it justice because I don't know that world. I can't write from the Black perspective, and I'm a white lady. Like, that seems just asinine if you're asking me to do that. And I don't know how, but the content creator took that as her being racist.
Oh. Okay.
So am I wrong? Am I wrong for being on Rena's side of this?
No, that content creator. That content creator took wings with that jump. Because what? I thought that was a very respectful take. Like,
right? Like, listen, I was like,
if you don't know please don't do it. Like, and okay, this is the thing that always gets me, and now I feel like I'm going to take over the soapbox. I don't love when people that don't have the relative
like credentials.
Credentials is a good word. Like, for instance, okay, I'll use this as an example. There is a white author that has a Black sub character, and every time I read this sub character, I mean, like, I read some of their books and they have Black characters in it. I'm like, yo, this person grew up with Black friends because they know Black people. Like, I say that every single time I read it. Yeah. The main character is still white because they are white. They're writing from their perspective, but their perspective of Black people is not a first lived experience. It's a they're my friend experience. So when they write Black characters, it's in a friend experience, and it is, in my opinion, very authentic. Love that. No complaints. I don't, and I think we've talked about this on the podcast before. I don't love when people write outside of their lane for the sake of diversity or whatever the case may be. If this is what you know, this is what you know. Our criticism in the Black community is, why do you not have people around you that you could have more of an experience with it? But it's not so that you can then turn around and write a main Black character. Like, for me, that's actually a little bit weird. But I don't think that person is racist for not writing that. It's actually being very respectful for the fact that you don't know the culture and the experience well enough to write it.
But, well, it's not even about the racist part, because I think, like, the creator was trying to say, like, you won't write Black characters, and that's the racist part. And, like, even with that logic, it don't make sense, because if she were to try and she failed, you'd be like, white people need to stay in their lane. So
yeah,
so make it make sense. Like, I really had to sit there and be like, nah, I actually want to read her stuff more now, because I appreciate her recognizing, like, hey, that's not my space, and you should probably just read Black authors if you want a Black character. Yeah. But also, like, as somebody who has attempted to read Rena Kent, don't do that to a Black character, please, because your stuff is a little too dark and a little too crazy for me. Listen, you know I love me a trigger warning list because it makes me so excited. Jay, I made it through 2 chapters and I said, you know what? I don't think this is the time for this.
Wow.
I said, you know what? Let me come back to this, because it was so crazy. I tried 3 different times and said, I'll come back later. I'll come back later.
I'm gonna use this as an example. I just think not everything is for everybody, and that is more than okay. Like, I distinctly remember there was a trend. You remember that, like, suspect trend that was happening on social media, where it was like, suspect is XYZ. And it's basically you were like reading.
Oh, they were running down the street.
Yeah. This Black and white couple that does a lot of, like, social media content, they, like, started to do the trend, and then, like, their whole thing was like, you know what? I don't think this is for us. And they, like, and that was the end of the video. And honestly, I thought that was the funniest thing. And I was like, thank you. I was like, yes, thank you. Just understand that not everything is for everybody, and that is more than okay. There's going to be something else that is for you. A white author writing white characters, because that's their experience, is completely fine. I do not associate or assume that they are racist for doing that. I think when they build, now this is another note, and I don't know if this is what the creator had meant or in any way. I think when you write a whole world, multiple different characters off multiple different books, and there's nothing else in it, that makes me question a little bit, because I'm just like, okay, but also depends on like where certain people are from, right? The reality is you cannot be racist, but you can be in a place where there is not a lot of diversity, so your lived experience does not include other people. Now, if you do that and you set that joint in New York or whatever, I'd be looking at you all types of crazy, because we everywhere.
Friends.
Exactly. But it just in the sense of just like writing what you know, I have zero problems with writing what you know. I think when you exclude things that are included naturally, I think that's when we can kind of start questioning certain things. But if you're writing what you know and it's the exact experience and it is the exact thing that you're familiar with, I'm not mad at that. It's your perspective. Do you?
Let's talk about something that's not for me, shall we?
Okay.
Today's book.
That was a smooth transition, homie.
Listen, I'm out here. I'm doing things. I'm smooth with it.
All right. So today, all right. Who?
It's Black Panther.
Yes. We read Black Panther: A Nation Under Our Feet by Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I was looking at that name going, and Stan Lee.
Okay, I honestly, how sometimes you come on here like, I don't even know how to break down this book. This is how I'm coming into this episode. I really don't know how to break down this book. Like, we're gonna try, but can I just say I was really excited about this. Because if you guys haven't figured it out, I'm a bit dirty, little Funko Pop right here. And I was like, oh my God, yes. Reading like a comic book, a graphic novel. I'm so excited. Yeah, that novelty wore off relatively quickly for me. When I first jumped in, I was like, oh, this is so cool. It's like reading a storyboard. And I don't know if everyone is familiar with the term, but a storyboard is basically when you have a script for a project, you have visuals along so that everyone kind of knows what it's potentially going to look like before you actually shoot it. And for me, I was like, I feel like I'm reading a storyboard. And I was like, that's so cool. And then after a while, I was just like, okay, I feel like I'm reading a storyboard for a script that I would have skipped on. And then I kind of just was like, all right, I got to keep reading it for the podcast.
I'm going to keep it 100. I'm going to keep it 100. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if I read it in the correct order. Like those little blurbs were happening. And I said, I don't know which way to follow. And then they were stacked. And I said, this not my lane. So I'm going to try and break this down.
I'm going to need your help too, because I was kind of like confused. Even having read the whole thing, I'm still like, I don't really know what happened.
I did like a mini breakdown yesterday when I was talking to my cousin, and I was like, the problem is this is not my Black Panther. This is not my T'Challa.
Yes, it is a very different vibe, which I want to leave space that, like, you know how like when we think like, oh, a book like the book when it's adapted to a movie, sometimes the book is better. And so I was thinking like, maybe this is the same vibe in the comic book world where they're just like the comic books are better and the movie's taking too many liberties. And I mostly know superheroes from movies. I was on the comic book lane a little bit when I was younger, but I quickly kind of just went into like actual like novels and chapter books, and then I just didn't really continue with them. So most of what I know from superheroes is from the movies, and I feel like that was a disservice reading the book a little bit.
I think the problem also is like comic books, especially like Black Panther, has such a long line of comics. And so we kind of just dropped in the middle of it.
Yes. That's exactly how it felt.
Unknowingly. I want to make it clear that we tried to do some research and figure it all out and just kind of accidentally dropped in unknowingly into a world where everyone thought that T'Challa had died and his sister Shuri took over and she died in battle. First off, I was already not amused.
Oh, is that how that happened? Because I was confused by that too. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So Shuri dies and T'Challa comes back and he was like, I'm back, y'all. And everybody was like, what?
Yeah, okay.
And so, in the time between Shuri's death and T'Challa coming back to Wakanda, little pockets of uprisal have started happening.
Okay. You're already filling in some of the gaps, because I was just like, okay, what? Okay, yeah.
Which is crazy because I thought I didn't comprehend any of this, so we're just going to let this magic happen, all right? One of those pockets is led by this guy. I don't know his name, okay? He had a headscarf.
T2.
Titty. Sorry. That one came out faster than I could stop myself. So T'Challa is struggling to regain full control of Wakanda because as he's trying to regain control of Wakanda, he's having to hurt his own citizens, Wakandians. Listen, all right? I don't know.
I think it's Wakandans.
Wakandans?
I feel like I read that in one of the pages.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's struggling, and there's this woman in green who is able to play with people's deepest, darkest fears and things. Yeah. So that's storyline A.
I don't have her name written down. In my mind, I just kept thinking her as Black She-Go. That's so bad. But in my mind, I was like, okay, Black She-Go.
I accept it.
Dang, I don't remember. I don't have her name listed down. And I purposely wrote the characters down because like, I'm not going to know nobody's name, and I know Chelsie don't know nobody's name.
So storyline number 2 is there is a female warrior who is struggling.
Yes.
With some of the decisions and the changes that are happening at the top of the royal family of Wakanda.
Yeah.
That's homegirl with the ponytail.
Yes. And she was in love with the prisoner. This is the same one?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Yes.
The prisoner one's name is Anika. I don't know her homie's name. I'm sorry.
Ayo.
There we go.
It was AYO. So I said, Ayo. I don't know.
Okay.
But we gonna go with it.
I literally had prisoner metal lady as I knew who I was talking about.
So Aneka breaks Ayo out of jail. And they go off to a border town and they start trying to basically be vigilantes in Wakanda.
Yes. And Ayo, when she went to break out her homie, she took like prototype metal suits. So now they both are like superheroes essentially. Or they honestly, it reminded me of like Batman, but like without the billions. Like that's the vibe that it gave me.
Yes. So they kind of escaped with no plan.
Yeah.
So they just
the lover was like, my plan was to save you, so plan complete. And then the other girl was like, girl, there's so much more we can do.
Right.
That whole exchange cracked me up. She was like, so you didn't have no plan? She was like, get you out of jail was the plan.
So this is where things start to get a little fuzzy on timeline. All right, so he's going to rock with it. So at this point, Black Panther is struggling because Shuri's dead but not dead, because this is also plot number 3 is that Shuri is off in like the ancestral plane learning who she is and things like that. Okay. All
right, yeah. I got a little confused because I was like, okay, I'm experiencing this. I'm with it. But I'm like, I don't understand where this fits. So this explains then why T'Challa was like, she's not really dead.
She's not alive.
Her, but she's not alive. And that's the thing that confused me. I was like, what you mean she's not dead, but she's not alive? Like, what other options are there?
Well, they kept showing her in this like beam of light. Like she was kind of like in a stasis of sorts. I can't think of the word right now.
Yeah, no, that's like, perfect. And then I was trying to figure out, and I was like, is this his imagination? Is she like, is her body in the science center, like in a tube? Like I was very confused as to where her physical body was. Even though like spiritually she seems to be like in the ancestral plane.
Let me put it this way. You know, like in the movie how Shuri has her lab?
Yes.
That's basically where she at.
Okay.
Her body.
Okay. I'm with it. Okay, cool.
The way we try to put this together.
We did not do this on purpose, y'all. To me, it's hilarious because it's like I assumed half of it, you would assume the other half, and somehow it's coming together.
Right. So T'Challa is struggling, but he thinks he has figured out a way to bring down the Black She-Go of this comic book strip.
Because she has like psychological powers, yeah?
Yeah, so like she doesn't like play like mental games with you. What she does is she enhances your own mental doubts. So any concerns that you have about your insecurities and things, she just amplifies them.
Okay. Because they were like, bro, don't go to her by yourself. And he was like, no, my mind is right. I can do it. And then like he went and then he was like, don't play tricks on my mind, witch. And I was just like, I'm so confused.
Right.
And that's the thing I was like confused about because I was just like, and I was like, is she just like talking to you? Is she actually hurting you? Like that was the part I couldn't really understand. I was just like, Is she just manipulating people? Like I didn't understand like her powers or her purpose. Like that was the part that confused me.
So she's working with Titty Boy. Sorry, that's 2 Chainz. Tattoo.
Yeah,
T2,
yeah.
Yeah. And so he goes off to visit a philosopher, a professor of philosophy. Yeah,
yes.
Those words. Who I guess is either his dad or like his mentor, maybe somewhere in the middle. None of my business.
Okay, now I have the professor's name written down. I do not know how you say it. Chagmire?
Quagmire. I don't know. I don't care.
At first I thought it was champagne, but I was like, no, I feel like those letters are different. And so,
it's not champagne.
Okay, so I think it's Changmire.
Mm-hmm. Listen, it don't matter. Champagne. It works. I don't like him anyways because I think he had an affair with T'Challa's mom. So.
Oh, he absolutely did.
Okay. When she said he turned me from a woman to a queen, I said, wait a minute.
The way she was just like, I couldn't do it because I was finna be more. I was like, girl.
He said, run away with me.
She said, I went to college and got a full education. You hear me?
She might not have got an MRS degree, but she got a backbreaking degree.
Also, what I find hilarious is that Mr. Professor, we're calling Mr. Professor. Mr. Professor was in the king's court as like not a reference. Like what do you call that?
Advisor, teacher.
And I was like, girl, you by your husband, the king's side? Girl, you bold. You real bold.
Right. So it's weird, sort of like 3 stories in one comic book that had me tired. What's up?
Oh, okay. No, to your point, absolutely. So this is the thing where I got confused. The comic book, when we first starts off with the professor. Like, it's them in college, and he's teaching the kids to ask questions. Yeah.
That's like mid-comic.
I felt like the first page was, like, them in school, and he's telling them to, like, ask questions.
I'm pretty sure that's later on, but give me 3 taps, and I can tell you.
Okay. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
No. The first page is just Black Panther on his knees, and it starts talking about how he left them. I am the orphan king who defied the blood, who defied his country, and was divided from you.
Oh. Yeah, that part confused me. That's probably why I forgot that was the beginning. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, I was like, we don't get to the professor until page 30-something.
Okay, so but when we get to the professor, he's telling his students, like, ask questions, like, pay attention to things. Let's try to find the solutions to, like, the problems of society, right? And essentially, as we find out, like, later on in the book, is that because Wakanda is an advanced society, they also understand the need to have advanced morality and advanced cognitive psychology because their problems are
Yes.
going to be rudimentary, but also super superior because of their technological advancements, right? Ooh, all these words. I went to college. So,
Okay. He's college educated.
At the end, because listen, I struggled through my philosophy class. I had to pay attention. Okay. So, at the end of his class, T2, who's a former student, comes through and is basically accusing him of being like, you're saying ask these questions, find these solutions, but you still aren't providing the answer to them. And while you're not providing the answers to us who don't know them, the problems are still manifesting and being brought in. And I think that now that you're saying this, I think this was exacerbated when there was technically no rule because you didn't have Shuri, you didn't have T'Challa. So he then took it upon himself to being like, listen, you could ask all the questions you want. I got an answer. And it was like he went to the root of the earth to find, why did I say earth with an F?
Because they kept saying, I once was tree.
Okay, yeah. So at first, my Jamaican self, I read tree as 3. And I was like, why are they not writing the H? And I was just like, and so I kept reading it. I kept reading tree like 3 because for those who don't know, Jamaicans say 3 like tree. Like they just leave a whole letter out. And then
the way I'm not Jamaican and I kept,
I was like,
the way I'm not Jamaican and I said, I once was 3. No, that says tree.
Yeah.
And then I kept being like, I once was a tree? Nope. They keep purposely writing it, I once was tree.
It didn't click for me at all until finally T2, like, right before he was going on his, like, extreme villain arc, was like, I went to the roots of the earth and they told me to do this. And I was like, maybe he literally meant tree.
It took you that long.
It took me that long.
They did the poem like 4 times.
When he was like,
they just keep making the. They keep making the same spelling mistake every time.
I was confused every single time.
So at some point, T'Challa figures out how to take down Black She-Go. He takes her down, and that is our like midpoint of this, if you will.
Okay. Now, question.
And so then,
Black She-Go and T2, they were working together, right? Or were they separate and they kind of just okay?
No, they were working together at the beginning of the comic, but then once T'Challa takes out Black She-Go, he then goes to the 2 women that had broken free. Yes. And they tried to form a new union, and the women were like, sir, I don't know you. You keep talking, but I don't know you.
Yes, okay. And then, so it took me a second to kind of make the Gorilla Man
M'Baku
association. Yeah, I didn't realize it until later on that it was the M'Baku tribe that I guess they ran to. So it was like their section of Wakanda.
They ran to it, but they took over it.
That's what I kind of got, because M'Baku himself wasn't in charge. It was his brother, and his brother is...
This is another problem I have with this comic. So you're going to tell me every person I know is dead. Every character that I know is dead. And I'm supposed to just buy into who these new people are. That's... no. So M'Baku died at some point before our comic strip starts. Mm-hmm. He let his brother take over, and then they took his brother down. The women and Titty Boy. So they dropped him out. They said, yo, you gotta go. And now they're over there holding votes and trying to like have a president and all types of anarchy stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's what that is.
Okay.
I was not amused because you have now taken Shuri and M'Baku, and I said, what do I have left? Because T'Challa's mama was not giving Angela Bassett in these comics.
Thank you. I was just about to say, literally, that was kind of my thing. I was like, so is Queen Mother like the only one that's still like legit? And I was like, but she's not hitting like. She's not hitting. She
the way
does, yeah.
The way I had to do some immersive reading and play the score from Black Panther while I read this comic book.
That actually probably would have been helpful.
I said, I need a little piece of what I know. I think that really is like the problem here. Is like we dropped in the middle of it and everything that we know is no longer in existence. And I just was like, I don't like this timeline. Take me to a different one.
Yes, I agree. It was very weird. It was very weird because it was like, you're right. There's nothing I could associate to hang on to because everything that I knew wasn't.
Right. So let's talk about this random white man. At least I think he white that popped up towards the end of the comic.
Oh, yes. He was even very Lex Luthor vibes. And I was like, bro, I don't know who you are, what you doing. He's not Claw, because they mentioned Claw, but he's not Claw. So I was like, how'd you even get into Wakanda, bro?
Yeah, I was really confused. I'm trying to pull up his name because they definitely said it. His name is Zeke Stain.
Yes.
And I was really confused because I was like, I don't know why we're here.
And then, so correct me if I'm wrong. It seemed like he was financially backing T2 and the revolution.
Yes. So this is kind of how it ends. It ends on a to be continued. But Zeke is basically like, not for me. I said, cool, we done. I'm such a savage. But he basically came to T2 and said, hey, you going about this all the wrong way. Let me just help you out here, bruh. And T2 was like, do you know who I am? And Zeke was like, do you know who I am? Because T2 calls him Zeke, and then Zeke was like, no, my name is Ezekiel. Get it right. Or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I don't know who you are with these little Madonna gloves you got on your hands, but live your best life. So, if you've managed to follow along with this story breakdown so far, we don't know how the story goes. We don't know how it ends. We just know that T'Challa is in the fight for his country.
Okay. But this is the part that did confuse me about the to be continued at the end. We see T2 and Zeke. He has like the little projection and be like, hey, T'Challa is rubbing your face in it and he's gloating or whatever. And really what we see is that T'Challa has decided that, hey, we're doing all this fighting, we're doing all these things, and it's not really working. What the people really need is like support and resources.
No, he didn't decide it. His mama says you an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
Your daddy couldn't figure it out.
Are you ready for some guidance? Sit your behind down and do this. You're right.
His mama said your daddy was too stubborn and hard-headed to find out. Now I'm going to just have to tell you the answer. Go help them people.
Yes. And it's him as himself and the mom sharing resources with the people. And it was interesting because it was distinctly in one of the fight scenes earlier on in the book when T'Challa, like, kills the guys, like the armored guys with the guns, and he goes, oh, I'm going to protect you now. Literally, one of the older women and the child was like, these men were protecting us. They were providing for us, and you just killed them. And so I think it was like kind of one of those things where he's like realizing, okay, cool, all these uproars and all these things is because there's a lack of resources, there's a lack of whatever. Which, I don't understand how that's the case in Wakanda, but okay.
Well, I don't think it's a lack of resources. I think it's a lack of spreading them out in the wake of Shuri and T'Challa's quote-unquote death. Okay. It's kind of like, yo, you left us. We were orphaned with no leader, and these guys stepped in and were taking care of us. And now you've killed them in order to, like, take your reign back. But where does that leave your people?
In terms of the providing. Okay. Yeah.
And so those final scenes are him taking care of them and providing that aid and that relief, and then T2 blows them up and tries to take out the Queen Mother, but the Black Panther suit saved her, and then it said to be continued. ...
Okay, that was the part that confused me because I'm just like, why are you literally harming the citizens if you're trying to go after the royalty?
All is fair in love and war.
At that point, I was very much like, okay.
Did you get all your questions answered?
I did have all my questions. I did have a couple quotes that I thought were like cool.
How do I put this? I'm not even going to ask you to rate this because I already feel like I know your rating.
I feel like this is such a great privilege on something that I was like, nah, I can rate it.
What is your rating, Jay?
I gave it a 2. I feel so bad. I feel so bad. But it's just so not for me. And at first I was just like, Jay, is it just because you're busy, because you're tired, where you really couldn't drop in? As soon as I finished reading it, I literally read like a book and a half right after it, and I was just like, nope. So I have to give it a 2. I couldn't rock with it.
So technically, Goodreads doesn't even know I read it. So it only opened in my Libby app because I borrowed it from the library, and so that does not physically mark it in my Kindle as me reading it, or nor that I finished reading it. If I really was being honest, it's a 1. And I think for me, it's not because it's a comic book, because I like comic strips. I love reading them in the back of the paper on Sundays, you know? For me, I think it's because of where we dropped in the story. If I had more characters that I recognized and had an emotional attachment to, it might have been easier. Hell, even if the villain was someone I recognized, I could have rocked with it. But because the only 2 people that I could really connect with were the Queen Mother and T'Challa, and neither one was giving Chadwick nor Angela, I just was kind of there for it. And so, I don't know. I think I would have to find out how to start from the beginning, because that was also very confusing, y'all, of like where to start, and kind of go back to those and see what my opinion was of that. Because I have books that are comics that I absolutely am here for, and I'll read all day, every day, but this just wasn't hitting the spot for me.
Yeah, no, I hear you completely, because for me, I felt like there was just not enough reprieve in it. Like, I didn't feel like there was enough humor and jokes to keep me involved. I don't feel like there was enough, like, there was no one character I was rooting for. Like, I can't think of a character that I was actually rooting for. And that, I think, is what really lost me.
And what's really weird about it is like, if, like, yes, we dropped in terms of the overall Wakanda world and the story of itself, but in terms of where we dropped in, it is the start of a whole new storyline. So it's not like they couldn't build up characters for us to get to know and love from here on. And I don't know if this is just how comics work these days.
Yeah.
But I was like, yo, that's crazy, because we're definitely starting with T'Challa having returned, because you gave us the blurb at the beginning. This was comic book number 1 of this era. How did we get here?
Yeah. I literally, you unconfused a lot of parts for me. I read it and I was confused until we just
Which is crazy. So... because I also felt confused until I said the words out loud.
So, like, I kid you guys not. Like, I really came into this taping, like, I really don't even know how to. And I figured, like I said, you had a half, I had a half, and it kind of came together. But reading it, it felt like I only had a half. And I don't even feel like the half was a whole story, because it felt like I had pieces of multiple stories and they never fully jived together. So yeah, I now here's the thing. This was a Coates' first comic, actually, and there was like a little, I don't know if yours had this, but mine had like a little interview like in the middle.
Yes.
It was like, and I was like, this is strange. I was like, is this a part of the book? But I
read it was at like the end. It was at the end of the...
It was at the end of the actual comic. But it was like still a portion of it, and I was like, this is strange. I was like, so I'll just read it. And so this is his first comic, and like the guy that does the illustrations for it, who he's been doing it for a while, specifically with Marvel and also Black Panther, he was kind of like, yeah, it's a different approach. He was like, but I think he did a great job and everything like that. So I don't feel like, and obviously Coates is a writer, like he's written other things. I don't think that there was like a inability to adapt element. I'm not sure. I don't know. I would maybe have to read another comment and see how I felt about it.
Here's what we're gonna do. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, and you are a comic book reader, and you can tell us how to read Black Panther from the beginning and see some of those characters that we know and love, I'll put it out there. We can do another episode. Yes, we can. All right. Obama said, yes, we can. But we have to know where to start because both of us love Black Panther.
Yes.
So I think if you comment below and tell us how this whole system works in the Marvel universe, we will give it one more shot. And if we give it a second shot and we still sit here confused at the end of the episode, I want you to know we did our best. Okay?
Yeah.
We gave it all our effort.
Yeah.
Because I don't want this to ruin comic books for us. I think this is not our lane and we hopped in it. And just like we talked about earlier, know your lane and stay in it.
I love how inclusive you're being in terms of we and us. Yeah, sure.
This is our show. I don't sit here and do this by myself. So if I gotta do it, you gotta do it. That's how it just works.
Yeah. I really wanted to like it. Like when we picked it, I was so excited about it. And yeah, here we are.
Here we are with some final thoughts and notes for y'all. By the time y'all see this, we will be in Atlanta together, living our best lives. We will be at the Black Romance Book Festival. So if you're watching this in your hotel room and you're there, come find us. Point us out in the crowd. Say hi. But also approach gently. Because if you come too aggressively, I cannot apologize for how I react to some stranger walking up on me. Okay?
I'm like mentally preparing myself to like be friendly. I will say this, I thought about this and I was like, oh, I haven't been on the East Coast in like a good minute. And a lot of these times starts real early. So I might be a little,
You said I ain't been on the East Coast. That's South.
On the east side of America. I'm on the west side right now. Just the east. Okay. Just the east side of the country is what I meant. Is what I meant. So
she ain't been on that side of the Mississippi.
In terms of the time zones, that's what I mean. So
if you catch us at the end of the day, it's gonna be a whole lot different than if you catch us midday where the coffee is hit. Okay.
Yes. So I am more nocturnal, so I'll probably be way friendlier on the tail end of the day. I might be a little in the early mornings because some of those like 9 a.m. starts are really like 6 a.m. for me. Oy.
She'll be fine. I'm gonna put her to bed early. I'm gonna tuck her in and I'm gonna tell her it's time to go to bed. She ain't got no choice. No. I'm gonna tell her, hey, isn't it time for you to go take a nap? You've been eating one too many Krabby Patties.
All right. Anyway, we'll see y'all when we see you.
Right. If you are not going to be in Atlanta and you do want to go to a book convention that we're going to be at and you want to say hello, we will also be in Denver at the Rocky Mountain Readers Retreat come September. So I think they still have tickets on sale. Do yourself a favor. Go buy one. And also you could just say, hey, what's up? Hello. In the comments. Socials. Everything's linked below. And we will see you when we see you because we're going to take a little break. We need a little vacay action, a little sun. Okay. So do yourself a favor and be a Black Panther. I don't know a villain. I don't care. Just don't be Floki. Don't be Loki. Don't be Loki. And we will see you in the next one. How about that? Does that work, Jay?
It does. Bye, y'all.
Bye.